the reform of his materials.
You gotta respect the risk Peterbot's willing to take right here. Most players would probably, you know, throw a little cone over just to safely pickaxe away at that brick, but no, he's want to risk it all just for the small lead there. Let's take a look at G Monster, barely above as well. This is gonna be a very, very scrappy endgame. You can just tell. Look at all the HP differences with every team in the distance. The nameplates, folks are hurting everywhere, and this is what you want if you're a player like G Monster right now, but no damage coming his way just yet.
Currently in the top 10, though, this could be a great opportunity for G Money and Reciprocal to build their way up in the leaderboard standings. Only got one elimination. Excuse me, no, that's Peterbot with his one elimination that he found earlier onto Pikes. Trying to do his best to tarp through some of these mid-ground layers, low-ground area, but Hamzo and Rise just on the other side of his walls. Peterbot going for the reload in advance for that waterbending mythic. Wants to make sure that if he does get caught up in an engagement, he's able to have at least some form of fight back. But Cold and Acorn, these two still running it down, dominating the low ground. Aaron and Chance looking like they're on their last bit of life, and sure enough, when Cold and Acorn come knocking on the backside of your walls, you have to expect what they're after. It's just too easy to find these double eliminations.
Yeah, they're just racking them up now. 6 eliminations for them. You get to watch it back one more time. Yeah, how clean that was right there. Ball take, the edit, the monsters tag right behind it. Kanata and Cooper on the move right now, though. Finding a player into the box, bringing him down, and Kanata gets what he's asked for. And that's a huge pump shot to the face, unfortunately. Can Cooper get the save here? He definitely has enough time on the clock. But no, Trashy gets into the builds there and finishes his duo. That's rough, but hey, he's still alive. Placement points are being given out, but it doesn't really matter. As long as Peterbot's in the game, they're not truly closing the point gap. The pressure on nonetheless. Trashy and Skittles here having a real chance now. Meanwhile, on high ground, Clicks an epic whale. Put some respect on it. They're going from high ground to high ground, challenging Acorn and Cold down low here.
Might have bit off a little bit more than they could chew, though. They've got to be careful because Acorn and Cold, they've got more than one team on their same layer. Clicks and Epic doing what they can to just prevent Bolts from having a chance with Bryce to try and threaten the high ground. All the while, Cooper, backside, immediately spotted out, though. Doesn't even get a chance to keep his run going any further. At least managed to dip into the placement points, so that's for sure. Cold and Acorn, though, dropped from that secondary height all the way to low ground, and it's Peterbot, of all people, who finds that elimination.
The story comes full circle. That is a revenge elimination. If you've been paying attention, Cole took down Boyo earlier. Peterbot claps back in the end game, so he does get the last laugh here as he continues to run away with things, because it does look like, of course, Cooper and Kanata are officially out as well. So look at that here on high ground. My oh my, it's Clicks an epic whale down low. Bolt and Bryce surging up the standings right now. 3 eliminations and another end game for them. Talk about a big opportunity here for them as they're working their way towards the top 3.
The moment anyone looks up, though, Clicks, he only had 6 builds last we checked in. Reed doing what he can to try and escape from the clutches of Bolts and Bryce. Currently controlling the secondary height. They've got a quick pause. Shield potion being utilized, but Clicks again, 0 builds. It's Peterbot, though, losing practically all of his HP. Clicks didn't find that final shot. Skittles, though, his duo Trashy will make sure to get the job done. But at the same time, Trashy having lost Skittles, Peterbot still very happy at the sabotage he was able to play.
See, Trashy is bouncing back and left and right there, indecisive what side he wants to exit out of the zone. He just sees players everywhere. This is it, though. Finally out of material. Players above him. Players coming out the storm. Bolts just gets rocked, but not before he gets the elimination credit. Meanwhile, Ree and Rich on the low ground, running things to the ground here. 7 eliminations and counting now as they go for high ground. Bryce is in a battle there, and it's not going to be enough. It seems like Ritual and Ree will maintain the dominant position here against the 2 solos of Booga and TK. TK eliminated 2v1 situation. Reet and Ritual managed to do it again here. Another end game for them, and look at this. From out of the conversation to very much in this conversation now. 470 points and counting if they can get this elimination, which they likely would. Bugha's on the run, but for how much longer?
Bugha's got to be down to his final bit of builds, but it's just the split approach now. Bugha isolated finally. Ritual is going to drop down from his perch and make sure to take down Bugha in game number 8. Reet and Ritual, though, way to come alive in this final moments, because this is a much-needed victory royale. That's going to give them some great points in the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's going to at least put them in second place now, because with, you know, getting close to that 500-point mark, at least gives them a real fighter's chance. And look at this. They really have managed to rocket their way back up. Tons of elims. The end game, they played it flawlessly, executed the retake for high ground. You just have to genuinely appreciate the consistency we're seeing all of a sudden now from Reet and Ritual. And not only that, it was from a low ground performance, right? Those are always super, super fun to watch. And respect to Bugha, second place. Bugha also having his time in the limelight. So there it is. Game 8 now concluded for the King Reet. And of course, Ritual here back to back. And you know what? They've been a long-standing dude. They're only getting better, Taco.
For sure. And I think they just did such an excellent job as well, just staying ahead of the zone, playing that front side. But there's a lot more that took place throughout the course of Game 8. So Zeke, Vivid, Kelly, you know what to do.
Thank you guys so much. Shout outs to Reet and Ritual getting themselves the victory royale. Remember, 100 points. Bing, bang, bosh. Just like that. Get in the VR. It's done. It's over. Competition. All right, everybody go home. We're going. See you guys. Just kidding. Wow, they got themselves the victory royale here. Again, remember, guys, this 1.5 times multiplier, it makes such a massive difference. And all you need is a single game like this, right? Suddenly, this top 5 completely shaken up.
Yeah, there's like 17 storylines that I kind of want to recap after that game, but let's focus on the big one, right? Reet and Ritual grabbing the victory royale. Kelly, this looked a little bit like deja vu, right? Holding the low ground, controlling it, picking up refreshes, and then finally when it comes down to it, yeah, no, they didn't necessarily have to 2v2 for this win, but only solos left in the top 5 outside of them, so it was an easy cleanup.
And we heard Taco talking about it, that they always stuck to the front of zone, and that is due to the fact that they always prioritize those forecast towers, knowing exactly where the zone is going to pull and being able to control the rest of the lobby because of that. And just seeing both of these players fragging out, grabbing 10 eliminations total, and jumping up the leaderboard, I cannot wait to see where they're placing, because unfortunately, Kanata and Cooper, we all thought was the potential hope of being able to take down Peterbot and Poyo, but now it looks like it might be Reet and Ritual.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. It's almost like if we had some standings, we could take a look. We'll get there in a second because, yeah, you guys are going to see this top 5 and you'd be like, I'm sorry, one game did what? No, Peterbot and Poyo are still at the top. Don't just, they're fine. They're on it, their own. I want to keep looking at highlights from this game, though. This game, second of the day, 8 overall. Now players are starting to come alive, right? They're really starting to show up in big ways. And take a look, Reet and Ritual, after that game, the victory royale, suddenly, they have just jumped up into second place. They've said, everyone else, step aside. We want some of this Peterbot Poyo action.
491 points for Ritual and Reet. Second place. Kanata and Cooper, Kelly, they are dropping fast.
Yeah, they just keep getting into these rough situations where Kanata's going down early and Cooper just can't hold it out too long. And it's so rough to see, but still we have 4 more games to go in this 1.5 format. There's still plenty of opportunity for them to jump into our top 3 spot right here. And you can see in 7 zone just what shambles they are in. And it's actually Cooper that went down early here, with Kanata being able to bring him up, but unfortunately it only lasted for so long.
Yeah, and you know, listen, another kind of storyline that I think is the biggest one so far after those 2 games. You know, of course, we have day 1 and then we have day 2. So far, the best performing team on day number 2 right now. Zeke, you want to go ahead and guess, actually? Can you guess what the best performing team on day number 2 so far is?
Is it Reet and Ritual?
Nope, it's not. By 2 points, it's Booga and Agers. Look at them, 6th place right now. They started the day in 28th. How are they in 6th?
Jumping up 9 placements. 9 placements, Kelly. You talked about it. The 1.5 times multiplier. You just need one good game.
That's so true, and I'm looking back to their day one performance where, you see 34th, 24th, 47th. They've gotten a 3rd and a 2nd place so far. They're performing the way that Peterbot and Pollo did yesterday, so that means that the Victory Royale is going to be next, right? Because I think that's what the script was for day one.
Yeah, you guys talk about it. I'm gonna look at the script real quick. Hold on one sec.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I mean...
Yep, that's what it looks like. I mean, I don't know. I didn't write the script. Yeah, guys, we only have 4 more games left to go here. With this multiplier, things are really starting to shake up, right? And I'm really starting to get worried because some of these duos, like Kanata and Cooper, they're kind of put in these shambles situations. What are you guys seeing out of these games? Why are kind of duos, especially now when we kind of need to be putting on these big numbers, what's happening?
You know what I think it is, right? Of course, Kanata and Cooper, they land to the west of Grimgate. And kind of me and Kelly were talking about this. Peterbot and Pollo aren't actually really rotating out of Grimgate over the course of the first 2 games. And it's creating this little area around Grimgate where there's like 7 teams, right? Because everyone's getting held up by Peterbot and Pollo still being there. Whereas yesterday, all these teams were able to just walk through Grimgate. And I think that's kind of messing up Kanata and Cooper's rotate. So we have to see them adjust.
Oh, that's a good point. Also, I want to point out Peterbot using Zeus's Lightning in that game from halfway across the map. Absolutely wild. I just think that there's nothing that they can't pull out right now and somehow find a way to make it work. So even though that wasn't the best game we saw from Peterbot and Pollo, still being able to come out strong. I mean, they got 10th place. That's the worst performance they have had all weekend long.
Not bad, right? Not bad at all. Another duo doing pretty well. Bryce and Bolts, right? Currently sitting in that top 3. They have to just hold on, right? They're thinking, this is my global championship spot. I'm literally looking at the seat.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy for this team to go ahead and pull it out, right? I mean, of course, we're used to saying Bryce and Chubbs, but now Bryce and Bolts. And this has been a team that's been playing extremely well. A 23rd place was game number 7, so not that good, but they picked it back up in that game right there. 4th place, Kelly, with 9 elims.
And what I love to see from this duo is that they were so placement heavy yesterday, where I think the most amount of eliminations they got was only 5. And to see them here, 9 eliminations as well, that's good to see. And I think a lot of that has to do with that they're not too worried about Storm Surge tags. They do such a good job taking these long range tags, and that allows them to get into the mid and late game without too much concern. Because again, Storm Surge is just such an issue for so many duos.
Yeah, we still haven't quite locked down the formula we need, right? A lot of duos, again, in shamble situations, but no problem. We have 4 more games to go. Anything can and will happen. With that being said, though, game number 9 is ready for us. So find your seats on the bus. It's go time.
Thank you, Zeke. And I think I speak for the community when I say I remember Bryce's reactions back at the last in-person event, the shocking look of winning in person. I'd love to see him back, of course, on the big stage, if you will. So the top 3 shaking up here, Taco. I don't think we expected it to be such a different top 10 already.
But at the same time, we definitely anticipated maybe a little bit of shakeups because that 1.5 times point multiplier, we saw it earlier today in EU. Andalex and Sato have to give them an honorable shout out from 46th all the way to 5th because of this day 2 multiplier MDF. So now game number 9, let's see what happens next.
I am right there with you because new teams are popping up. Agers and Booga from the gutters to the top of the standings right now. Of course, you have Bryce and Bolts here. Even that, like we just talked about, it doesn't even roll off the tongue the way I'm so used to some of these other duos that have participated with one another. But a team that has been sticking it out side by side is Reet and Ritual. And I can really respect the fact that they've continued to remain not only strong as a pairing, but seems to have been finding their stride here in today's competition. But here's a team that has to come back, man. Blake and Macwood, come on. Do it for the fellas here. They had a chance. They won game 6 yesterday. We're in game 9. They were taken out last round. This is a opportunity now for Blake and Macwood to go ahead and prove that they could be the stronger duo here. Otherwise, I mean, their chances are just going to be out the window. And I think their confidence as well, Taco, if they can't win this early game battle here.
It's definitely not been an easy one, but Blake, despite taking that 15 fall damage early on, it's all because of the fact he just wanted to rush over to these slat barrels, get full utility out of them. It's always the vault at Grand Glacier that they are after, and they know it's only a matter of time before School and Thoric are trying to pinpoint their exact location. Likely going to be a brief fight between those two very shortly here to come. Victor and B-Dog, though, just tuning in here at the estate station. They had a little bit of action early on. Poppy Blast Dragon, again, the team that we talked about, just kind of playing map roulette at this point, but they are running into problems everywhere they go.
Good little clapback here for Rapid and Batman Booga. Game 8, they were eliminated super early. Ooh. Okay, Rapid, show us what you got, kid. There you go. He puts quick work onto Crisp and Vorteca there before Batman Booga can even jump in. No fear. All accurate. Well played for him. There's fights going on everywhere. So this is, this is the point I feel like in the tournament where we can really see that duels have gotten into their groove. They're comfortable with the battles. I think early game jitters, they're gone. Everyone knows now it's put up the performance or make excuses for later. And it does seem like G-Monster is in a 1v1 right now. Has the shield advantage here. And the tag advantage.
Nice.
That finishes the job pretty quickly there for him and Reciprocal. And you know what? They were the stronger pairing of the duos here as far as points are concerned at the moment. 283 now. Big swing for them.
A little bit of a hindrance, though, for G-Money, as he's going to have to now run all the way back to Rebel's Roost, utilize that reboot van. But kind of revisiting the topic, though, Chris Vorteca, I mean, yes, we see a big win for Batman Booga and Rapid, but Research Rock was uncontested typically for Crispin Vorteca, so maybe just caught by surprise by a little bit of shakeups. As Blake and Macwood, they try to write their own story here currently. School, Thoric, both relatively low, but Blake, in a similar circumstances, last of the splashes going to be expended here now as Macwood, a little bit of overheight, almost gets the right side peek onto Thoric. Luckily, the backup from Blake is good. Macwood, even better still, knocked onto School. It's all down to Thoric now to keep Game 9 dreams alive. But Blake and Macwood, they are not going to back down. They know exactly what kind of advantage has just been presented to them. And sure enough, Blake on the wraparound. 2 eliminations here now for Blake and Macwood, and the entirety of Grand Glacier to themselves.
Yeah, Thoric cannot make that mistake. School can't make that mistake where they just allow Macwood to take the cone. I mean, there was so much time for them to, really protect themselves. And I mean, they almost get what they asked for there. Meanwhile, Peterbot picked up an elimination while we were focused in on Macwood and Blake there. And it does look like it was onto the hands of Zavi here, who's outside the Grim Gate. We talked about teams that have been almost, plans thwarted, if you will, because Peterbot and Boyo decided to just stick around in Grim Gates and say, hey, you know what? Let the teams come to us, man. Yesterday we played a little bit more aggressively, moving out of our draw spot, but today we're going to stick around now. So I feel like they're just like out maneuvering all the competition's likely new strategies.
They hadn't even gone for Cerberus yet, though. That's the other impressive part. They were just hunting that early elimination onto whoever just happened to stumble into their turf here at Grim Gate. But now, not a soul in sight. It's all going to come down to Peterbot and Poyo collecting that aspect of agility one more time. However, Kanata and Cooper, they have been in very dire situations all throughout the course of today. Even yesterday was a rough one, but they still managed to make it work. Up against the likes now of Yumi and Vert. Kanata and Cooper, though, they're pretty split. They could have 2 very good angle approaches. Cooper's able to open up a line of sight from behind Yumi and Vert. That could be a surprise bit of damage. But first off, Kanata, he's got to be able to hold his own. There's a lot of pressure being applied at the same time from Yumi and Vert. Now they're going to have to pay note to Cooper approaching from behind. And Cooper, that's going to be his heads up. He just needs to reunite with Kanata and look for a different method approach.
That splash is going to come down. They got what they were looking for, some damage. No elimination, so they back off. Meanwhile, Bugha and Agers continuing to play well today. Things having gotten easier, though, here at the Mount Olympus. They have continued to remain contested by one team or another.
But for Yumi and Vert, again, a team that was traditionally landing over by Classy Courts, seems like they got sick of the two other teams contesting them there, potentially Kazens and Junior, as well as Tankasito and Dios. So just very interesting to see how these kinds of methods develop for different teams. It's Bugha and Agers encountering some troubles, but at the same time, with the wings of Icarus and the fast rotates on those short distances, Bugha seems as if he doesn't necessarily want to take that fight. He just wants to prioritize getting a little bit more resources in general.
Paco's already lost Mixon right now, so he's getting hunted here by Curly. It's the final desperate stand here. Yeah, he knows it. We know it. He is cranking right now. And this is what you want to do. Hit your shots. Stay on high ground. Don't allow the team to best you. And they are doing exactly what they need to do. Chop it down. Don't give them the fair 1v1. All around, we're seeing exactly what we should. And in good Fortnite fashion, a third party comes in. So, you know, everything is going the way it is supposed to here, which is unfortunate for Paco right now, who's been putting up an excellent defense so far. Ooh, great tag, but not going to be enough in the end.
Too much of an HP disadvantage, but for Raze, the damage has been done. That massive tag at the end, still going to be his demise because Rapid, Batman, Bugha, they know they've got the knock. They're going to immediately take the zip line. That initial crank up is what drew the attention in the first place, along with the shots being fired. Batman, Bugha, and Rapid, though, still going to play this a little bit slower than I'd initially anticipated, given how aggressive they had seemed like they wanted to be. But no, the call to back off. Check the minimap. It's another team likely scouted out by Rapid because of this overhead view that they've currently got, and Batman Bugha thinks better still, doesn't want to get caught in a third-party circumstance like what he just performed up against the likes of his opposition.
Yeah, still opting to hold it down though. Has the stronger angle, has a zip line he can camp out here, so for sure has options. But yeah, the bunker's opening up now. That's going to be the reward for, of course, sticking this zone play out. Meanwhile, Rita and Ritual, seeing what they have managed to put together for their early game. It's a rotation. They're in the zone, but not quite safe just yet. Meanwhile, Pewterbot and Boyo, what is going on over here? It's a battle outside the Grim Gate. G Monster and Reciprocal. We saw them playing that north side, lingering around, but it looks like they were sticking around for a little too long. So now they have the attention.
This is not the kind of attention you want either. So much heat on G Money and Reciprocal's current position. Pewterbot just gonna clear out a couple of trees, get a little bit of brick and wood re-established for his builds. But again, Pewterbot and Boyle, they just have the full luxury of deciding when they actually want to commit to an engagement. And currently, it just doesn't seem as though anybody can actually threaten their current position in this game. And it's just going to be even more difficult still for other teams. As Vivid and Kelly pointed out on the desk, nobody can really rotate through Grim Gate. That's normally a nice and easy shortcut using some of the underworld dashes and whatnot, but Pewterbot and Poyo just holding down that entire section of the map. Everyone else kind of at their mercy.
Gotta hit these tags here. They're not gonna reveal themselves this easy later on in the games. That's for sure.
fun's over once the waterbending mythic comes out. Players just hanging out in their respective surge towers. Bolts, Bryce, big tag. That's the headshot that Bolts was looking for. Those are the kinds of damage applications that you need to be consistent with if you don't want to worry about your surge later on in this match. And when we talk about the fact that Bolts and Bryce, they're really on a run right now. They just squeaked into that third place position on the leaderboard. And keep in mind, yes, there's always a prize pool involved, but at the end of the day, these players, they're fighting for their ticket to Texas because they want to be a part of that global championship.
Ritual read on the move right now. A little bit of the low ground here. The reckless railways. This is kind of cool though, because like we just saw, Bryce's position is just above them, so a clash might be imminent here for Ritual and Reet. We'll see how things start developing a little later into the game. 40 duos still remaining here in game number 9. The grand finals right now. Things are starting to cook up here. The Rift Island's gonna awaken as well. Boyo and Peterbot have a chance to go for it. We've seen them do this before. Not that they really need anything, judging by the loadout. Hey, tags are nice. Fights are fun. They have such a monstrous lead. They could do anything. Peterbot pushes in as I say that. And it's Krizix who gets caught off. Isolated there. Trapped, if you will, before he can even make a move. That's crazy.
That quick stat even wilder still. Peterbot has more eliminations on his own, 34, than any other duo has combined. As a solo, that is just a ridiculous feat to accomplish. And now Peterbot, he wants to extend that number even further still. Yassir was trying to claim the capture point, but knew it was likely only a matter of time before he got pressured himself after losing his duo, Krizix, just moments ago. Yassir building on the side of Rift Island, finally forced to drop, but Peterbot, he's got dashes, no problem. He's gonna follow still. Yassir down to his last little bit of HP.
Ooh.
Made it into the rift just in time. But Boyo still at the top. Another team as well taking note of Yassir gliding through the sky. If it wasn't Poyo, it could have been anyone else in that circumstance, but Peterbot and Poyo, they just have zero intentions of slowing down anytime soon.
You know, Taco, back in the day, there was this really old tech that you could actually weapon swap in the air and get one shot off when you hit the rift and you first spawn in at the top. I thought for a moment, I just had a flashback, like, is Peterbot gonna be able to pull that off? Like, and if you remember how to do it, it might still be an option. That would have just, I think that would have bricked the internet. Not that, you know, he's kind of already done that. I believe he's trending at this point. But nonetheless here, Clicks an Epic Whale, the Lavish Lair, still at their home drop spot. So it seems like they've moved back in after taking a couple fights, and their material count is showing us that it's been a bit of a struggle here.
It's been the narrative of their entire Grand's performance so far. Just struggling game after game with maintaining their materials and resources. Even the heal situation, not exactly what I would consider to be ideal. 25 fizz, 4 clicks, 5 bandages, 2 bananas. Maybe Epic's got a little bit better loot at their disposal, but at the same time, if you're gonna take as many early game engagements as they seem to be going for, playing for the weapon bunker, they've got to be able to close them out. And it's just been so difficult throughout the course of this weekend because so many teams are either just backing off entirely after getting a little bit of surge tags in tow, and then that leaves both sides essentially to just have burned through so many mats, and neither really prospering for it.
Gotta weigh the risk of investing this early, but hold up. Cole picked off from waterbending Mythics off in the distance here. Bush comes out. It's Baka and Pars right now, likely putting some pressure in. Oh no, it's Saucy and Frost from a crazy angle up top. They just got a tag there onto Cold as well. They've surely pinpointed them out. We need to shoot back, Acorn. I don't know what you're doing right now, but just allowing them to fire down like this is unacceptable.
Acorn, I think, just waiting for Cole to regenerate some of those shields off of the small shield potions that they had available. Splitting a little bit of their heals around, but Saucy and Frostbond, they might be able to count their lucky stars for the time being. Acorn probably recognizing the fact that with the current location of Rift Island, it'd be very difficult for them to immediately challenge where they're being aggressed from, because they don't want to expose themselves in case there's teams still lying about on Rift Island. As we know from the luxury of the casting position, that bird's eye view, Peterbot Pollo, they're the ones hanging out top of Rift Island, and they have waterbending mythics at their usage, so it can be tough to escape if they spot anybody out. Same circumstance here for Rise and Yamzo, just applying decent bit of pressure to teams slightly west of their current location. It's for good reason. 18 below, but they found their opportunity. They're trying to pounce. Bryce and Bolts utilizing some of their hard materials, probably gauging. This is a team that is clearly desperate. They're trying to go way too ham into our walls. We'll just back off. We'll create some space. We'll let the Storm Surge do the rest for us.
Yeah, this is a cool fight because Bryce and Bolts are holding third place right now. And not only that, Rise and Yamzo likely have a very good chance before the year's over to also appear at the LAN. So this could be a storied clash in the making right now. Let's see it. Yamzo and Rise starting to make a move here. 102 below. They have to get in and find this duo, but they've lost track of them. And Bryce and Bolts, I think, have just outwitted them by positioning a little bit better. And there goes Bryce turning things around, and like they should have definitely won that. But still, Yamzo is alive, so it's not over yet.
But again, Yamzo, Rise, they were below that surge threshold. They went from 18 to 89 last we checked in. Yamzo could potentially still be suffering, but granted, now he recognizes the fact that he's split between two separate teams. And it's gonna get even more difficult still, because 135 below, now he needs more than just one good shot. He needs a couple, if not several or more. Time just slipping through his fingers as he tries to navigate his way into finding some form of action that won't get him fully eliminated in the process.
Yamzo just holding on by a thread right now. Another duo on the walls here. Can he escape? These are not his builds. Open wall to the side. Very difficult spot to play out of. Definitely unlikely he survives much longer. There it is. Fully finished. Meanwhile, Kanata also fighting with his own demons on the other side here. He's got Zabi down low and Neko there. Finishes them up. Those are not only good damage, but a good set of eliminations for him. Let's go ahead and keep him in the running right now. Kanata is trying to fight back for second place here at this point. He's lost the lead to Ritual and Reet.
That's gotta hurt. His shield is already only barely hanging above that halfway point. A couple small shield potions. Very valuable resources that you typically want to be able to hold, especially when the builds can put you in a tough spot. But Cooper and Kanata, this is by far one of the best positions that we have seen them in so far today. And now it all comes down to whether or not they can transition this into an excellent late game run, because they're gonna need it if they want to retake their position second on the leaderboard. First it comes down, these players in the boxes, they know these builds do not belong to them. They've got a little bit of height leverage now, turning back, trying to spray and control where everyone else is rotating behind them.
Not only that, they used their underworld dashes that they were keeping in the chamber as well. So this is it. It's all or nothing now for them to try to find these tags here. And if things don't go well with teams in a distance, they'll just have to jump on the team below them, and that's Larson and Oliver OG. So keep your eyes here locked in on Kanata and Cooper. Not looking good for Epic Whale in the distance as teams are focusing in on him. Bach and Pars being one of the few to put pressure down. Meanwhile, Bolts is down, and Bryce is in the storm here. And although he doesn't have an issue with the surge, he's got an issue with the lobby pressuring him, and there it is. Our third place team has been taken out, fallen, if you will.
That is so big for Kanata and Cooper. But as we already know, they are not the only ones trying to regain positions on the leaderboard. Cold and Acorn. 4-time scope on the Nemesis AR just makes the accuracy all the easier to come by. A good pickup, a good knock coming out of Cold. And Acorn and Cold will immediately dive even further onto that position. Tavern, the next elimination that they're able to claim. Decent pickups all across the board here. But it's really Reet and Ritual who are trying to just ensure that they replicate their recipe for success so far here today. They've got Azens completely on the run, but Reet and Ritual, they don't necessarily need that elimination. What they do need, though, is some material. So, actually, I take it back. A refresh. There's only one way to get it, so Hazens, isolated as a solo, that might be what Reet and Ritual are looking for.
Yeah, they're coming off a 10 elimination win, so a top 20 here is not too bad. However, this is where they managed to find the bulk of their eliminations. Meanwhile, Cold and Acorn just... Where was this Cold and Acorn yesterday when we needed them to actually have a foundation to start with here today? Because if they would have done well, we would see them very, very likely up at the top based off of their performances so far. Just trending in the right direction right now, playing exceptionally well here for day 2. So is Macwood and Blake, low-key. If they didn't fall in Game 8, they'd also be up somewhere at the top because they've managed to continue to play for high ground. I think Blake and Macwood just figured it out. You know, Macwood's going back to his early high ground, young calc Macwood days. Back when Zexro was in the conversation, like, just go for height. And he's taking Blake with him, and I love this.
Everything just stems right back to the very start for a lot of these teams, though. Acorn and Cold. Again, the vault fight against Yasir and Krizix, that early 50-50 doesn't seem like it's been a factor. Same case scenario for Blake and Macwood. Whenever they win the off spawn against School and Thoric, they're able to make some very real runs into the late game. Muzz, unfortunately, on the other side of the barrel, just scoped down and eliminated. But that's some good looks for Blake and Macwood. Another 6 points off that elimination. Better opportunities even still to make another run here. Try and get some high placement points.
6 below, the damage continuing to be an issue here. Peterbot and Boyo shredding players out the sky, you know, just doing Peterbot and Boyo things as they go for high ground now. And they have the material count to hold it here. It's a perfect executed high ground take as we're inside the zone 10, just a couple of moments now before this zone fully closes out. And look at this, they get the elimination credit onto Yuumi, who just got picked up in the nick of time by Vert there. So double points likely earned for them there. Meanwhile, Pars and Baka trying to fight for top 3 too. You know, honestly, top 3 is really, really going to be contended for. Second and third place is Reet and Ritual have managed to put up big numbers. Kanata and Cooper here, Blake and Macwood. I mean, NA wants this global championship seat. We're seeing that play out for sure.
Yeah, but Batman, Booga, and Rapid, they're going to shut down any hopes that Baka and Pars might have had in Lobby 9. Booga and Agers found a little crevice here. A moment to try and regain their thoughts. Figure out, do we aggress the high ground? Do we just keep trying to tarp through the low instead? But it's only Cold and Acorn on secondary height that might have a real opportunity here to threaten Peterbot and Pollo up top. Instead, it's Reet, it's Ritual. Pump as well, directly behind, but Reet's gonna be the first to get knocked. Can't dance around the cone any longer. Cold credited with yet another one. 5 in total, 7 altogether. As Kanata and Cooper, no builds, but they still got the dream going here. They saw Bryson Bolts likely falling in that elimination feed. That's a big shout for them to try and reclaim at least their spot in the top 3.
Miro down, Pump down, Reet down, Booga down. You know, everyone's just falling at this point. Ritual finally eliminated as well. Meanwhile, Kanata and Cooper just working their way through the low ground here. No material. Bunkering down between the builds as Cooper and Kanata down low versus Acorn and Cold. In the mid ground, it's Blake and Macwood. And I think Peterbot and Boyo have jumped in to put their interest in the mix here. 8 eliminations for Cold and Acorn in a top 3 here, Taco.
But even better still is Peterbot and Pollo's current position. They've got enough resources. Cold credited with another one. Kanata found out on this low ground, low versus height. It's going to be the same storyline we've seen time and time again here in NA, but Peterbot and Pollo, they are definitely in the driver's seat as Acorn tries to fight back, but it's just not good enough. Pollo going to be first one to drop down. Cold, though, has worked his way up to the high ground. He's fighting against Peterbot. He's actually knocked Peterbot. Cold could clutch this, but no! Pollo shuts it down. Another victory royale for Peterbot and Pollo here in day 2.
Peterbot and Pollo just had too much of an advantage in the high ground from 10th zone onwards. We knew what was going to happen, but we had to let the clock run and let it play out. In the end, though, Acorn and Cole definitely have one of the more impressive performances now for the second day of the FNCS Grand Finals. Well, that was game number 9. Let's take a look at those highlights one more time. It was the Peterbot and Pollo show once again here. And, you know, again, all credits to Blake and Mac with another endgame here, really showing up for this FNCS Grand Finals right now in the final moments. But in the end, Pollo manages to do it again here alongside Peterbot, respectfully winning another game. It is looking very much like we all anticipated, which was big wins, flashy performances here, Taco.
Look, we know Peterbot and Pollo have got first place locked down, but as far as second and third are concerned, things could start to get very questionable. So I want to take a look at those leaderboards. So Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly, what you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys. Me again. How's it going? Vivid, I don't know what to say. Take over, please. Wow, another victory royale. That's 4. That's 4 from Peterbot and Pollo. You know what's crazy is EU. You know, they ended 888 points, and apparently Peterbot and Pollo, they're trying to speed run a record. David, they said EU, you think you're better? No. We're just gonna go ahead and get 842 points, 4 victory royales out of 12 games. Vivid, I don't know. I don't know what we're watching here. This is absolutely an insane performance of just ridiculous proportions. They've not had a game outside of top 10. They have not had one game outside of top 10.
Yeah, no, they are playing insane. And, you know, Kelly, I remember we were kind of talking about Peterbot and Pollo, right? Like, it seems like they're going to win, and they can kind of coast to the win. But there was one thing that we wanted to note about this duo, and it's that they like to set records. And they set many records this season, but in grand finals, they continue to set records. This is the all-time NAC record for victory royales in a finals. And Kelly, they also have tied the record with 9 for the most consecutive top 10 games. You know what? You know what happened last time a team did that? That was Mero, Day, and Reverse in Chapter 2.
Whew. All they need is 70 more points to break the all-time record for points set by Zago and Shalom in Major 1, 912 points. And the way that they're going, I think they're going to achieve that.
Yeah, so next game, right? Next game.
Yeah.
It's all good. They'll be there. They'll be there. You know what? This is now the Peterbot Pollo show. I don't think anyone else has any question. These guys are basically your FNCS champions. All right? Congratulations to them. We'll go and do this mad early. Congrats. I think we shift the conversation. Right now, remember, global spots still on the line. What I want to do is start thinking about these standings and how these are coming together, because with 2 spots, whoever ends in those top 3, they're punching their ticket to the global championships, right? They're saying, hey, look, we're going, we'll be there, we'll be in Dallas, we're going to fight for a global championship title. And there's definitely a few names that are standing out to me here in this lobby, okay? Aside from Peterbot and Pollo, they're doing amazing, okay? Reet and Ritual here, though, really putting on quite a performance for us here in Grand Finals of Major number 2. And, you know, they're still sitting really strong in second place. Now it's just about holding on, right? There is a little bit of a lead, but that 1.5 times multiplier, it could kind of spell disaster if they slip up even a single time. Take a look in second place, 569 points to Kanata and Cooper's 518. So, guys, this is still very close. But now they just have to start trying to push everyone else away.
Yeah, Kanata and Cooper, you know, I don't want to kind of frame it harshly or anything, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. Finally, on day number 2, we see a good game from Kanata and Cooper, which is awesome to see, right? Like listen, I mentioned that the first 2 games, maybe some stuff was going on over at Grimgate. They had to make those adjustments. I don't 100% know if that's what was actually going wrong, but it seems like in game 3, finally, we see them where they're comfortable. They make it to the end game. They got their Storm Surge, looking healthy. They got extra builds, extra heals, and they made it to the end game, Kelly, and finally put up a good game.
Well, they actually were under Storm Surge at Zone 9. It wasn't until these final moments where they are on the low ground grabbing these eliminations that they were able to go above Storm Surge there. So I think you're still right that Karen's crossing that they're landing is just not that close to anyone else. And then the rotations that they have to make through where probably Peterbot and Poyo are eliminating everyone so that there's no one else for them to get shots on. But still, you're right. To see them be able to jump back up after the performance that we saw from them yesterday, that's good to see that they're not allowing this kind of negatively affect them. But Acorn and Cold still jumping up 5 placements into 5th place. Speaking of jumping up, Blake and Macwood also jumping into our top 10. But let's go back to Acorn and Cold.
Listen,
Take the words right out of my mouth.
I said
the words right out of my mouth.
I tried to tell him, Zeke. I said, Acorn and Cold, don't do this. Don't do this. Day 2, we're gonna show up and fly up the leaderboard. 20 million play. Are you guys serious? 5th place, 406 points. It doesn't really tell the story of Acorn and Cold. And I would say I'm gonna combine this with Booga and Agers. Both of those 2 duos. If you were here to hear me say those names, you'd be like, oh yeah, probably after day 1 they were in 5th place, so it's kind of cool to see them in 5th. No, both of those teams did not have a good day 1. And the fact that they are both now towards the top of this leaderboard and potentially fighting for top 3 is absurd. I mean, I think that's got to be where our focus has to be.
And
without a doubt,
keep in mind, like, yes, they, Acorn and Cold, again, they've got spots. They were the first duo in NA to secure a spot to global championships. So at this point, they're fighting for prize money, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, even if they, let's say they somehow dethrone Peterbot and Poyo. Cool. Then they're at this point they have spots, so they're playing for the prize money above all else. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm getting word. Games are ready to go. Once again, congratulations, Peterbot Poyo. You guys probably won, but let's see who secures these spots going to the global championships with our casters. MDF, Best Taco.
Yeah, that definitely solidifies what I would call is the checkpoint mark here for the second half of the grand finals today, as we're now Taco jumping into game 10 here shortly.
It's got to be such a good feeling if you are Peterbot and Poyo, though. But again, we're still looking at some of the other teams to make their way across the finish line. 2nd and 3rd place, 1,000% still up for grabs. So many teams with their eyes on. And with game number 10 starting, we'll see what happens next.
Grand Finals Game 10 is now beginning. And you know what? It's nothing but entertainment for us here at the casters. Front row seats to, of course, the action. The Peterbot and Poyo show has been raging on. And the comeback stories for the likes of Booga and Agers. I mean, we expect these teams to do well. So it's good to see them put on a performance here for day 2 when we have this 1.5x multiplier because their fans expect it, right? We expected it coming into this.
Yeah, and I could probably yap forever about what Peterbot and Poyo have managed to accomplish throughout this Grands weekend, but right now, Agers, Booga, so much duress, and Agers actually an early elimination. The comeback story for Agers and Booga shut down, and Zeus gonna hit Booga's own emote on him. The disrespect, MDF.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. That's rough.
That is crazy work.
Poppy Blast and Dragon mixing up their drop, going a bit south here, and doesn't work out. Oh, actually, whoa, I spoke a little too soon. I saw Poppy's Blast down and Dragon hurt, and I thought they were finished, but no. Dragon does clutch up there against Victor and B-Dog. Nicely done.
Just not something we've been able to say a whole lot of out of Poppy Blast and Dragon this weekend. They have definitely been more so on the receiving end than anything else. So it's nice to see them with a little bit of fight back still. At the estate station, they'll at least be able to claim that territory early on, but they might still have to deal with the likes of Clix and Epic Will a little bit later on. Cold and Acorn, though, this is really the true question mark of the weekend, MDF, because time and time again, we talked about the fact their day one, not good. Their day two, however, has been phenomenal so far, and they're making a very real run at that top 3.
Yeah, you know, I think it's the difference between quad-com and triple-com, right? Like, just one less team seems like has started to work for them. And man, what an unfortunate turn of events for Macwood and Blake there, who have, like, when they have made it off the drop, they have really shown us what they're capable of. And for them to fall now, when every other time we've seen them here, especially on their day 2 performances, have been in endgame, it's just got to be disappointing to know that they're contested in what could have been, right? Had they just not had such a fair competition there at the drop, because they're meeting their match essentially.
It has felt like a very even split though between School Thoric, Blake, and Macwood.
Yeah.
Those teams definitely relatively well matched for each other. And now it's also going to come down to School and Thoric. Can they translate this early game off spawn win into a late game run? Because they're another duo that desperately needs some points if they want to get a little bit of leapfrog situation going inside of those leaderboards. Baka and Pars here now at the Ship It station, doing what they can to collect as many resources as possible, kind of expecting them to look to contest or just try to claim outright. Forecast Tower could go a really long way for those two in terms of their mid to late game strategies. And Peterbot and Boyo, the sensation of NA here in Major 2. Cerberus kind of looks like the rest of NA right now. He's just getting dominated.
You love to see it. Peterbot Boya, man, what a lead. And this is the framing of their success right there. That aspect of agility, medallion, giving them all the advantage. Or Zeus Thunderbolt action, if you've been waiting for it. Azens and Magia right now. 66 points earned here after 2 days of performance, coming into game 10 right now. Definitely short, I'd say, of their own expectations. However, we got a fight right now with Jack and Cease here against Pars and Baka. And Jack actually hits the opening tag, but Cease punished as well, so it's even trades on all sides. Like what we're seeing from Jack here is he's trying to claim some of the surrounding land.
Seems as if Baka and Pars, though, they were ready to fight back. Third party from afar sees Jack. Unk takes a massive shot straight to the chest, though. Cease on the run now. Can't get around the cone, though. Baka gonna knock him to start things off here. Jack now forced to disengage, trying to see if he can escape. But the waterbending mythic from afar, Pars, also wasting zero time, goes to the engagement, but Jack, he's still got some life left in him. Now it's Pars who gets knocked in return. It's all gonna come down to what Baka can do next. Fortunately, though, Baka does manage to solidify that victory overall, but he's still gonna have to find somewhere else for a reboot ban. He gets Pars' reboot card, but check it out, another team approaching from Pleasant Piazza. And Baka as a solo, he knows he doesn't stand a chance. He doesn't have that many resources left over after that last fight.
Yeah, I just can't help but think, like, Cease intentionally chooses a very mechanical, up-and-coming, promising duo to play with. And that is Jack. But when you have Baka and Pars open to edit on you and you're met face-to-face, that reaction speed, he got hit with 2 shotgun shots before he can even make a move. Doesn't matter how good you are, Baka. This is going to be a hard fight. You got Skittles and Trashy right here going up against the likes of 2 really good OG NA players, and Baka is doing what he has to earn his respect and honestly put the numbers down, forcing the chug splashes, solo splashes out of Trashy here. Says all that we need to know. Here comes the edit. Baits him in. Those are his walls.
Baka just has only a handful of builds left to work with, though.
How do you beat this, right? Like, this is crazy.
It is not looking good for Baka. His best odds currently are just looking for an escape. He'll expend his final splash, picks up a fresh Flowberry Fizz, and is still just trying to escape here, but Trashy Skittles, they know this is a primo opportunity. They are not trying to let Baka escape. Finally, they whittle him down. They get that elimination that they were after all along. And Skittles, Trashy, now hanging out by the ship-it station. They can choose where they want to venture next. A little bit more action continuing to pick up here at Reckless Railways as well.
That was a direct exchange of positioning as well on the leaderboards. 8th place taking out 7th, and now they are our 7th place team in the running here. Talking about well-positioned teams, Reed and Ritual, you know, we just gotta jump in with them and see what they're up to. Not looking too hot for the material count, however, little fight potentially breaking out here. You know, one thing we noticed, actually, that I noticed last game is they really didn't have eliminations when they got to the end game. So they're doing something right where they're finding surge damage, although it's not exactly translating into big early game points.
But at the same time, if you get that surge damage early, you're going to get those points eventually because your placement's going to be a lot easier to come by when you can just focus exclusively on your positioning, on your rotations. Reed and Ritual, we've also seen a good amount of low ground play coming out of those two. They've been doing an excellent job at just traversing those low to mid ground layers. And if they can just maintain that same pacing that they've been able to repeat perform so far throughout the course of today, we could definitely be looking at them locking down that 2nd place position.
Cooper and Kanata disengaging from Clix and Epic Whale on the outskirts of the map there. Can't help but wonder if Clix and Epic are due for a big game. We've seen them do it before here on a final stage. Kanata and Cooper making up for that unfortunate kickoff round, really slowing them down. Basically putting them in their own uphill battle for top 3.
They had top 3 heading into this game. They were able to reclaim it from Bryson Bolts, who had an unfortunate fall much earlier than they would have ever liked in that last match. But I think the big thing for me in game 9 was Kanata actually clutched up, just managed to outlast Blake and Macwood to lock in that 3rd place for Lobby 9, and that definitely went a long way for them in helping them to overtake Bryson Bolts. But again, they're going to need to keep that up if they want to stay in that position. Quick glimpse of the leaderboard, and we're back. Checking in, Ritual, Reet. Of course, Reckless Railways, not always going to be the most friendly exchanges. And it seems as though School and Thoric, they've rotated now from their position at Grand Glacier. Just trying. They've got a long ways west to go from where the zone is pooling. Both sides seem to be fully aware of this. The real victory right now for Ritual and Reet is that they've got an ample amount of heals in their favor. And that's definitely going to bode well for them as they finalize making this next rotation.
A lot of teams here, but a couple caught up at the Reckless Railways with a fight, so should be a relatively smooth rotate for them as things start to line up. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Boyo, screw rotating, let's fight. They have nothing to lose right now. It's such a monstrous lead over the competition. We're likely to see them do big things, if you will. Seen them drop 20s before. I think that's all they're missing at this point for the grand finals as far as accolades are concerned.
At this point, all they care about right now probably is just breaking records in FNCS finals history.
Yep.
They're on the cusp of it as well. Kelly called it out. Only about 70 points left, and they could find themselves being able to break some nice all-time record for points. That 912 originally set by Zagu and Shalom over in the Asia region. But Peterbot just needs one elimination to get 41 in total for his individual accord, and then he will break the record that Cold has held for most individual eliminations in an NA Duos FNCS Finals because Cold signaling at 40. Peterbot just needs one more. He might find it in Hakio or Mayfishy.
Yeah, at this pace right now, just pay attention, y'all. Let's see it. Boyo's got the side angle. Peterbot continuing the pressure here. And unfortunately, for the team that they're fighting, they're in the zone. Like, they got a lot of time to keep working this battle here if they so choose to. Look at this. Peterbot and Boyo very much aware of their surroundings and the fact that Rift Island's going to be opening up here. So they could just go and cap out material if they want to effectively play for positioning and endgame. And if they stick around, I think it'll just tell us they just want Elam. So
Peterbot is this close, Monster. There's no way he lets Haki or Mayfishy go for free. They are currently trapped. Peterbot and Boyo, if anything, they might just reposition, maybe look for an area. Rift Island, top of Rift Island might be easier for them still.
they're keying. Oh my
To
God.
find another one. And yeah, it's Mixon at the top of this surge tower. By the way, Peterbot dashes up. Mixon has to forfeit his spot in that surge tower. Peterbot still trying to barrel into their box. Paco, massive shot. Shield fully cracked. White health completely exposed. Peterbot just needs one more good tag. But no, just like that, Mixon and Paco are just barely gonna manage to escape, and Peterbot's still searching for that record-breaking elimination.
It's crazy what they're capable of. And you see the pace of which the pressure comes out of Peterbot and Boyo. Like, you just can't defend against it. You have to run.
I think the crazier part still, though, is that even if Peterbot doesn't get that 41st elimination in this match, he still has 2 more lobbies, MDF, to try and break that record. He might
Not
just
wrong.
be setting one for the ages at this point.
You're not wrong. That is true. 3 games ahead to not only set the record, but then continue to lay the foundation for your own personal record and world's best, essentially. It is just a masterpiece to watch unfold, but we already know what's attributing to all their success, those medallions. Some swapping it out too in combat, giving them those refreshed 3 charges. So there's no escaping if they don't allow you to, essentially. They do determine the pace of everything. Kanata and Cooper on the other side, very far from all the chaos down south. Zone's going to be popping in here shortly after it starts to cut across. Meanwhile, we got Skills and Trashy. What happened here? Breaks the floor down.
Nefarious work. A little bit of fall damage. Production got jokes sometimes to the players as well. Best way to look at it, but hey, I like it from Skittles and Trashy, the idea here with the Surge Tower. They got that early elimination onto Baka over by the Ship It station, and they really haven't strayed too far from that rotate that they made earlier on, largely just because of the fact that they're clearly still inside of the zone in their current spot. So they're just trying to scout, see if there's anybody else that they could pick off in the process, maybe who's approaching from that further south, or even a little bit more west. Cold and Acorn, though, these two, they've definitely had their work cut out for them today, but they have been reaching the ceiling and then some. They do not want to let anyone else sit inside of that top 3. You can tell how badly they're trying to take over, even though they've already got their ticket to Globals checked off after their major 1 win. They don't care. This is about pride at this point, NDF.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, a matter of sharpening the blade and staying sharp, right? So you start gearing up for the tail end of this FNCS. These are awesome tags, by the way, coming out of Cold, but still not enough to give him the freedom away from the damage that they need to pick up here. So what are they gonna do? Another one comes out there. Acorn punished with the trades there. We're seeing a trend out of Acorn, unfortunately not being able to land those big hits when they mattered. Saw it earlier today. We're seeing it now again. Losing some of these exchanges here. Look at the heals. This is going to be very critical heals. So with a team landing down low, they are forced to actually dive on this squad. No more staying at distance, right? Staying at bay. Acorns hurt by the Storm Surge, but also just in general, taking a monster shot, landing in onto Larson. And yup, it is not looking too hot now. Acorn's going to fall first. All up to Cold here. He's above this surge, but for how much longer? He actually bails out. Okay.
Flies up just to immediately dive bomb right back to the ground. Just recognizes the fact that he had to use every single one of those 4 splashes he had just to keep himself up and running. And sure, he might have survived that initial bit of Storm Surge, might have barely gotten just above the threshold point, but now he's left 0 shield, still trying to acquire a couple more tags. His best case scenario currently is going to be finding a surprise knock onto either a solo he can pick off or even a duo, because that could give him an opportunity to then try and key in, maybe win that exchange. We know how mechanically talented Cold is. Peterbot and Pollo, though, they've got more than enough heals, though, to work through this, but they still got decently taxed, losing a good amount of their splashes.
Below the surge right now as well, so everyone's got to be careful, as they will have to jump in on a team right now. They can't find a tag here shortly. Oh no, it's Epic Whale and Clicks who get chosen for the box fight.
Looked like Peterbot for a second there. He's gonna go elsewhere, but missed the dash. Fell back down. Pollo knocked now. Mixin, Paco, they're paying Peterbot and Pollo a visit. Peterbot trying to do what he can to keep his duo alive, but even throwing Pollo around. There's so many teams now flooding into their current position, and Peterbot's not gonna get the chance. Immediately taken out of this lobby. Paco, Mixin, Krizik, Yasir, just too much pressure smothering him.
Is that officially the worst placement they picked up, 30th, before placement points are given out? I think that might actually be the worst
For
game
this
we've seen.
weekend, yeah. The first
0
time outside
eliminations.
the top 10.
Yep. 0 eliminations and a 30th place. So that's a full 0-point dud game right there.
And even crazier still, it has absolutely 0 impact on their first place position in the leaderboards because of how excellently they've played this entire weekend.
Not unless Reet and Ritual just go sicko mode and right, like a win right now, and all of a sudden, you know, it's a 100-point gap.
Yeah, they need like 30 eliminations, my guy, and then maybe 1 or 2 wins. Sure, I think, you know, there's always a chance if you really want to boil it all down, but Bryce and Bolts, they need a lifeline currently. 68 above the damage threshold, but struggling to make it into this next zone. So much congestion already building up on the south side, but they have scratched that. Bryce has managed to make it into zone, but now he's fallen one more time below that damage threshold. Tries to key into a box.
Whoa.
Success! Junior dropped in a heartbeat, but Hazent just barely manages to pull it together. But again, the damage already done. He's gonna have to operate as a solo now.
Not enough ammunition to close the deed. And that's tough for Bryce there, who was, again, fighting for the podium position there. He's managed to do so well, and now it's just gonna get that much more difficult. First place is out, 4th place is out. Acorn and Cole still in this, Threats and Sphinx still in this. Reet and Ritual, Kanata Cooper, all teams that we're expecting to have an opportunity here. Clicks and Epic Whale still standing as well. I see them there in the distance too. Miro and Dukes is alive here. A lot of notable players. Muzz standing as well. Let's jump in with 2nd place though. Take a look at this here. Reet and Ritual cooking up in the mid ground. Oh my gosh, no, they're on the low ground. This is so congested actually, now that I'm looking at the standings. or the map there. 43 players standing. This is about as packed as we've seen it, and it's at the Grim Gate, which is so interesting to see that the map is quite literally ending on Peter and Pollo's draw spot, and they're not in this game. Like, this is their worst performing game, so just unprecedented game right here.
Man, players are just dropping like flies, though. Cold still managing to keep the dream alive here for himself and Acorn, but he's posted up inside of a box currently. Definitely trying to stay out of sight, out of mind of the rest of the lobby. Look for some tags with the Waterbending Mythic where he can. Only kind of shield availability he has, though, is off of that Flowberry Fizz. Clicks, epic build situation, just as dire as ever for these two. They have really struggled all weekend with having a good materials count in the end game, but they've at least got a separate layer from the rest for the time being. They might be able to find a refresh as they continue to tarp through with some of their final builds, but it's got to come fast. They need more resources. They don't have the luxury of waiting for much longer. They didn't have a good clear over that damage threshold, and it could pose a real threat to them if they're not careful.
Look at Clicks and Epic Will fighting the mid-ground layer up against Kanata and Cooper. It seems like both of them had the same idea, like, I want to look for height. They look like they want to look for height. Well, only one of us can do it. Not only that, Clicks is now officially out of material here as well, so this is all desperation starting to set in here. They're gonna have to make their way best they can to this new zone. Sitting underneath the base here. Who's this? Oh, it's Reet. It's right above him. No idea. They're right underneath them. Reet and Ritual go for high ground up against Paco and Mixon. They still have Underworld dashes left. Reet has 1-2, and they are successful in the high ground take.
5 eliminations as well on Reet. And they do have the aspect of agility to share between each other. Healthy amount of builds
wait,
also.
Taco. Wait. We said there was a chance. We said there was I'm just, like, what are we watching play out right now?
Peterbot and Pollo have got to dud the next 2 lobbies as well, though. If that chance is really going to circulate its way into the conversation. Clicks is just lost. Epic Whale. Cooper also doesn't have Kanata next to him. Could have a pick here onto Raze. Instead, he's gonna slip by. Cooper's still trying to break some boxes, break some metal walls here. Recognizing the fact that he's down to his last 2 bananas, so he can at least play from the backside of zone for a little bit. Has a little bit of more healing to work with, but that final banana having just been used. Zone pull back, though.
He was really banking on it. He was really banking on the zone coming back. Finds an elimination there onto Raze as well. The quick pickup. He's got the material he was looking for. And the banana still ticking is going to heal him right back up. So Cooper's in this game. That's very, very clutch as far as the standings are concerned, because look at this. You have Skittles and Trashy stepping on his heels right now, closing in on the points threshold. There's a lot of new teams inside the top 10 right now. Finally, Clicks falls as well there as the feed starts to update. Reet is still alive. He finds Cooper, though. Iamzo and Rise cooking in the mid-ground and the low-ground position right now. They have 7 elims, Taco. They are turning online all of a sudden, too.
But I'm just looking at that team on high. Reet and Ritual are just dominating this current lobby. They are not allowing anyone to feel comfortable navigating these mid to low ground layers. More pressure just being applied, being suppressed. SMG just posing so many problems. Rise Iamzo, they're forced to just keep trying to move forward. It's Chimp they run into next, but no, behind them. Check it out, it's Reet still claiming even more points off these eliminations.
You got Trashy just sitting back like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to just use my med kits, take this top 5, and any other placement points I can squeeze out of this game right now, and things start to slow down. He's got the Underworld dashes, so he shouldn't have too much of a problem getting to the safe zone. But that is the story of NA right now, as Reet is still going from his prime positioning. He has 9 elims right now, leading the charge. But don't get too ahead of yourself. That 2v1 right there could be disastrous for him. He does hit that shot, though, and little does he know, there's a player right in between them. It's Chimp, it's Scissors. They're both still standing, by the way, so anything can happen, and just like that, down goes Reet. But a win condition sitting before Ritual. Up top Cam is going for it. Instead, he slams down. This actually might be the win opportunity for Ritual because Cam went for the low ground teams instead, and they get granted the W.
Nah, Re and Ritual right now are just applauding watching that finalization here to Lobby 10. A victory royale, though, that they've earned. Monster, you brought it up. There is a chance. It's not a big one, but there is now a very slim opportunity here. If Re and Ritual can maintain this kind of pacing, they might actually just catch up to Peterbot and Pollo. But again, it also depends on whether or not Peterbot and Pollo find themselves falling outside of that top 25.
You know, I just found it very interesting. A very compelling story right now for Re and Ritual as they, you know, really surge their way into the 700-point threshold. Right here, though, I thought Cam was going to charge after Ritual, but instead he goes to the low ground, and Ritual and Re couldn't have asked for a better ending there. Plus 20 points from second place to get in that first place. A huge difference there. Puts them in the running now, in the contested, in the conversation for our after Game 10's win there, Taco. Just incredible.
They also had a pretty ample amount of eliminations, but yeah, things are definitely starting to heat up here, MDF, but gotta give it back to Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly to see what they have to say.
Sometimes, you know, things go well. Sometimes they go a little bad. You lose your duo mate. Sometimes the Wings of Icarus just have one dive down move, which means you're good. You run into the storm with the banana. You walk away with the win. Reet and Ritual coming up huge here in game number 10. They are fighting for one of those top 3 spots. And man, oh man, now with 723 points, these guys have really pulled out all of the stops.
We have played 10 games in grand finals, and only 4 teams have gotten a victory royale. One of those is Blake and Mac with one of them. Kanata and Cooper have 2 of them. Ritual and Reet have 3 now. And then Peterbot and Pollo have the other 4. And Kelly, listen, I know Taco just mentioned it. Everybody's gonna be like, Vivid, come on, guys. Like, obviously Peterbot, but Ritual and Reet are kind of putting themselves in a position to where it's possible to catch up.
Especially if Peterbot and Pollo go down in 30th again.
Oh my.
To none other than the likes of Paco and Mixon. So, you know, EU on top, I don't know. But regardless, Reet and Ritual were definitely on top, holding high ground there for such a long time. And I don't know how much of that victory royale was luck or circumstance, but Ritual going for the heal off exactly what we needed. And that might actually be the first heal off win we've seen of the weekend for NA.
It's been a crazy one, to say the least. It's been action nonstop. And for them, I cannot believe Reet and Ritual got themselves that win. I want to take a look at the standing. There's only 2 more games left to go here on the day. And with this win right here, take a look. They are holding down that second place spot. Not far away, but still pretty far away is Kanata and Cooper as well. The top 3 have not moved, guys. They have been just stalwart here in these games. Man, so huge shout out once again, Reet and Ritual for the big victory royale. Take a look there though, Skittles and Trashy there in 4th place, moving up 3 places. I'm telling you, this is going to come down to the wire. Everyone is fighting for those seats on the battle bus, the global championships.
Yeah, and a team that's got to continue, got to stay in the fight here. Even though they came in today with a solid, you know, comfortable 2nd place, Kanata and Cooper are sitting in 3rd. They've established a 120-point lead. But Kelly, what's looking good for this duo right now, right? We mentioned it, the first 2 games, not so good. But the last 2, it seems like they figured it out, and they keep making the end games.
Yeah, whatever they have done, whatever they have changed in the last few games is definitely working out for them. And with this kind of rolling in this direction, there is a chance for them to grab a victory royale and even solidify their spot in the top 3 even more so. And you know that's exactly what Kanata and Cooper want. How could we have Kanata and Cooper not make it to the global championships? And this duo is so exciting for me to watch. Such a smart duo as well, and currently sitting in 3rd place. However, Skittles and Trashy potentially within range. We do still have 2 more games to go here. But I do want to talk more about Ritual and Reet. What a surprise. They're 120 points behind Peterbot and Pollo, but they just got themselves close to 150 points last game. So if they go down again in 30th place, which we now know is possible, there is definitely a chance that they could actually take first place.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but the season theme is myths and mortals, and this game just proves that gods can bleed, because Peterbot and Pollo fell in 30th place. So, you know, Kelly, you're not wrong, right? It just takes a single slip up, right? That we cannot stress this enough. The 1.5 times multiplier is such a difference maker here. And with 2 games left to go, this could possibly be stolen away. But for Peterbot Pollo, they just need to hold on, right? They just need to make it in that top 25, try and rack up as many points as they possibly can. But I am looking at Cooper and Kanata, right? Because I think they very well could fight for a second right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot going on in the top 3. A lot. I think game 11 is setting up to be the most exciting game, because if this goes a certain which way, game 12 is going to be crazy.
This is what we expect out of NA. I know a lot of people are like, the story's already written, the writing's on the wall. But no, leave it to NA to keep you on your toes till the very final moments.
Man, I'm ready. The stress through the roof right now. 2 games left to go. We're going to know who wins an Axe of Champions, prize money, and the top 3 will move on to the Global Championships later on this year. For game 11, we're tossing it over to the Monster D-Face and the best Taco.
This is it. Game 11 right now is really going to set the tone for the remainder of the FNCS. And, you know, Peterbot and Pollo absolutely deserve to be the global, you know, the FNCS champions right now. However, anything can happen, Taco. I mean, that seems to be certain.
Hey, you can play perfectly throughout the course of a weekend, but if you're not able to seal the deal, well, a team like Reet and Ritual, I can already picture them rubbing their hands together, inching ever steadily closer to that first place position. We joked about it. We talked about, hey, Peterbot, he's looking to break some records. He's trying to get that 41 individual eliminations title. No, it's got to be less about the records, more about the wins, locking down their spot. And with game 11 on the edge here, we're ready to see what happens next.
Here we have it, Grand Finals, game number 11, the most important game for Reet and Ritual right now, but also for Peterbot and Pollo if they want to be today's champions, if they want to lift that Axe of Champion to be granted with all that cash money, they cannot afford to drop the ball. We saw what happens when they, I don't know if they were trolling a little bit, you know, easing up a bit and pushing teams over confidently. This 1.5x multiplier, if nothing else, has proven that anything can happen if you fail to perform.
This is a really late glide in here from Cold. He's going to be forced to go way south. Fencing fields a little bit separated from Acorn, but doesn't seem to be impacting him too heavily. Just more so surprised at how long it took him to actually touch down, but hasn't seemed to thwart his early game so far. Ample amount of shield. And yeah, that 1.5 times multiplier could be the real difference maker. Macwood Blake, though, striking back, reclaiming the Grand Glacier for themselves. And you know what that means, MDF? Every single time they have won this off-spawn battle, we've been able to pay a visit to Blake and Macwood in the endgame, and that's exactly their intention here in Game 11.
Yeah, they got a lot to live up to right now, being that they have played so exceptionally well when they've made it off the drop, especially when they finish the battle this fast. Look at that. Blake touches down, beats the drop, just wonderfully executed there. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, I did see Booga and Agers fall. We're seeing the update right now with Peterbot and Pollo. Everyone's wondering who's going to land on them in Game 12, who's going to land on them in Game 11. No one so far. No one has dared to challenge them, regardless of what it could mean for the NA conversation. There is a team, however, moving in dangerously fast right now on the outskirts. Who is this?
Well, not only that, but for the first time today, I believe, Peterbot and Pollo, this is actually one of the fastest times that we've seen them go to try and beat Cerberus, claim that aspect of agility. Have to think, maybe it's a slight switch up from how they've been playing today, because we've typically been seeing them extend just a little bit on playing the outskirts of Grim Gates, trying to pose a threat, trying to eliminate teams who are just kind of hovering their POI, and then they come back to claim that aspect of agility. But this time, they're wasting no time. And it could potentially be because of the fact that that's a little bit of a jump scare, I'd imagine. When you fall outside of placement point range, you're not in that top 25, you're earning nada for an entire lobby. Meanwhile, you're watching Reet and Ritual just basking in all of the glory. Massive 150+ point games in their favor that have now caused them to be able to potentially threaten Peterbot and Polyo's position.
Yeah, I just keep going back to that yesterday's game 1 where Peterbot had to clutch up and pull out that stretch for 20 points in the top 3. And to think that that could be the difference maker. Meanwhile, what was this trade of offense? Everyone there takes the L, and they'll have to sit this game out, wait for game 11. And then Reet and Ritual, man, pressure is on. You know, just as hard as it is for others to perform and hold your first place spot, it is equally as difficult when you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see that there's a chance that you could be that FNCS champion. You know, this is one accolade that Reet wants to continue to chase after, right? And especially Ritual, who Ritual has seen his fair successes of what it feels like to be a winner of sorts in a tournament setting. However, there's nothing like an FNCS championship.
Yeah, and that 18 FNCS finals victory royales that Reet's been able to claim, that's impressive, because now he's in second place for the most of any active North American player. The only one that he's behind is Epic Whale, Mr. 6 times himself. So definitely an impressive accolade for Reet to kind of just tag on to the resume. Certainly been building up quite a monumental statue for himself here for other players to try and tackle and overcome. I like this right now, though, from Skittles and Trashy. Kind of trying to just get a good head view of the entire lobby. They're hovering around this forecast tower as well. Check who's coming up in the distance, Peterbot, Polyo. But again, Skittles and Trashy, they have definitely been a team that has been able to kind of hold Peterbot and Polyo at bay. They are no rollover duo by any means, and if Peterbot and Polyo try to go for an exchange with them, it could end up in disastrous results if they're not careful.
I'm really just trying to see, engage, where do we think Peterbot's and Polyo's mentality is at right now? Are they feeling nervous? Do they still feel confident like they have this locked in the bag? Because that right there, you know, that little voice that is speaking to them deep down inside is going to determine whether or not they can actually perform this game 11.
I saw Skittles and Trashy, though, just a little bit further up. It's because they wanted to make that rotate one more time to Pars and Baka's location at the Ship It station, just threatening them. Bryson Bolts, though, really good looks for them south of Reckless Railways. They're going to be able to claim Forecast Tower that spawns just a little bit north from their drop at Dumpenhausen. And now, with the Forecast key card and the knowledge of all future zones coming into play, Bryson Bolts, they've got some good ground to make up for, considering they got a taste of that top 3 in the leaderboard earlier today, MDF, but they've got to fight their way back into it now.
Yeah, this could surely be their game. And look at this. Acorn and Cold making it successfully past the early game here of the fencing fields. A triple contested drop. That's an accolade in its own. It's a huge hurdle to overcome here.
Ooh.
It's a Cold to find the tags, that's for sure.
Might be Muzz and Paper or Yasir and Krizix that he is shooting at across the way here. It's just wild to think, though, these teams, because of how heavily contested fencing fields is, they've all got to be fighting for like 3 or 4 chests each, right? Like, there is no way that there's that much resources to go around for everyone at this POI. It's definitely had a little bit of a negative impact against the likes of Muzz and Paper's overall performance, because they are a pretty strong duo for what it's worth. And to see them kind of struggling throughout the course of this weekend because of what they've been up against just goes to show that even some of NA's best can come to a halt depending on the situation that they're left with.
This is very interesting. I feel like Trashy and Skittles lost their one chance to drop Boyo while he was out positioned with all those metal walls between him and Peterbot, and Peterbot doesn't like the odds here. Peterbot feeling like he needs to back off, and he leaves Boyo by himself. This is just the confidence. The confidence is crazy. Well, I asked a question of whether or not they were feeling like the nerves were settling in, but no. They're showing me that Peterbot's like, nah, you got it, brother. I got this. Let me go look for someone else, find some tags while you keep these kids busy. That's all we need to know. All right, well.
Sometimes fear can be a good thing, though, because if you're just not scared of anything, that overconfidence is typically what's going to result in you getting eliminated pre-top 25 in a lobby, and can't bring it up enough. They really cannot afford to take an early spill in match 11, because if they do, the moment that their names, if even one of them gets read across in that elimination feed, it's got to put the Jets on for Reet and Ritual. But things are a little bit sticky here for Reet and Ritual as is. All the way north of the map, Classy Courts, where they find themselves. And there's two other teams in their direct vicinity. Make that 3, Sigma trying to poke his head into the fray. As Dukes, Miro, they look like they want to depart from this engagement. They don't really like the amount of foot traffic that's found its way to their drop. But it's Reet and Ritual.
King.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I didn't expect them to want to push it this aggressively when they're in second place right now, but it's showing us that they don't want to have to worry about Surge later in the game, and they're looking at likely the same thing we are. It's a team playing way too passively, so I'm assuming this is giving Reet all the confidence here to feel like, hey, this team might not be on our level. However, it is Dukes, it is Miro, so anything can happen. Dukes is going to be punished, though. Backs against the wall. It's still a 2v1 face check. Here comes Ritual to back him up. So far, so good, but they're missing the tags, and Miro is accurate as ever, putting up a good defensive hold here so far.
Miro just saved Dukes' life, hard body in that circumstance. Reet and Ritual were fooled on trying to aggress. They just couldn't break past that final boss that Miro was able to present, but it could only be a momentary relief here as Reet, Ritual, they recognize this is still a little bit of a tough situation. Going for the floors, though, I like that from Reet. Just trying to keep Miro and Dukes on their toes, but now a Minish Cam, they've worked their way over. They heard the shots being fired. Reet gonna have to box fight one more time, but he needs backup. Ritual's got no shields. He's on his own for right now.
Very well played by Reet, keeping the pressure on here, doubling back to his teammate here, making sure not to leave Ritual behind and get too greedy chasing the elimination here. While Ritual pauses to heal, you can see that they found a lot of damage. They may not have the eliminations, but they surely have gotten a lot of damage traded off to the opponents, and they didn't take a lot of damage in the process, so all they have to do now is replenish material, and they'll have a real good fighting chance against the Storm Surge later into the rounds here. There goes the material split to make sure they're absolutely set up, but gotta be careful to ambush from Duke and Miros here on the outskirts of this base right now. And everyone splits off, so for Reet and Ritual, they will live to see another day. While that was happening, by the way, Boyo found an elimination. I saw that start to add up, and then you see Bryson Bolts here as well, finding their positioning on the high ground. And what a fun stat. Every game this weekend has been won by a team with a former FNCS champion, just really flexing the fact that the OGs are out, man, and they're not going to drop a game. All right, everyone's going to have their chance at bat, if you will.
That veteran experience is definitely playing a very heavy factor into this weekend's performances for all of our Victory Royale teams, but Peterbot and his Surge base, look at Xavi and Neko as well. Quite a few Surge towers kind of littered around this Grimgate location. extending all the way towards where the Rift Island has just spawned in. Peterbot catching a glimpse now. Waterbending Mythic headed his way, but the Flowberry Fizz that was being utilized. Peterbot maybe scouting out the fact this is a team that's potentially low, but they're going to be the first ones to make it onto Rift Island nonetheless. And Peterbot has not been able to connect a single shot with that thermal scope on the Huntress DMR. Look at Bacon and TK though, taking the Rift here. They're also trying to seek out what Rift Island has to offer. It's Acorn and Cold going for the capture point. They've boxed out a decent amount of space here. It all depends on what TK and Bacon are really after. Is it surge that they need? Is it materials? Regardless of the circumstance, they might just find themselves in a precarious position here, dealing with the likes of Cold and Acorn.
Still, though, they do manage to secure it here. TK and Bacon sitting up around this base here. Peterbot and Boyo, obviously there in the distance. You have Krizix and Yasir, Tyler and Curve, Skittles and Trashy, who obviously Skittles and Trashy really have remained very much relevant as far as our top 10 standings concerned. And with how many points they have, they could be in contention for top 3 in a ride straight to the Global Championships in September. There's the update. 4th place.
Yeah. Just quietly playing their own game, though. They're the only team that has actually placed top 25 in every single lobby so far this Grand Finals weekend. That metric alone, pretty substantial, all things considered. It's just that one massive standout performance that they've kind of been seeking out.
Just can't count out Peterbot, though. Even if he falls, he gets right back up and right back into things. And they take down Frost here. And this is on the outskirts, someone who likely just picked up whatever was inside that bunker. So
That's
a little loot delivery for the boys here.
Yeah, 41 though for Peterbot with that singular elimination. Couldn't get it in the last lobby, but he has now officially set the record for NA in terms of individual eliminations in a Grand Finals performance weekend. So congrats, Peterbot, but now the next mission, the next objective, secure first place, because Reet and Ritual, they're still looking to make it happen if they can.
It's got the eerie silence here settling in for Bach and Pars right now. As get the world of duos that separate them from the line of safety here. Things are going to get very difficult as far as rotating past the Rift Island is concerned. On the other side, Kanata and Cooper deep inside the Grim Gate here. Looking around, scouting for opportunity, no players nearby. Curiously checking out what loot is available here, and then Peterbot and Boyo exposed up above. This is the face-off we didn't know we needed. Kanata and Cooper against Peterbot and Boyo potentially to break out here, because we know Peterbot and Boyo they'll just dash across. You know what I'm saying? They'll just land on you, and then all of a sudden you gotta deal with that.
Muzz and Paper, though, under so much pressure right now from Kanata and Cooper. Likely have some teams. I like that split angle, the line of sight that Cooper has opened up for himself, extending a little bit further away from where Kanata was at. But Ritual, they're not done.
Ooh.
They finally found that knock onto Miro. We saw Miro and Dukes earlier on from Classy Quartz. They were taking more of the dead side approach after having gotten pushed back by Reet and Ritual's initial aggression. So the fact that Reet and Ritual have actually sniffed them out, chased them down, and now gonna work their way back towards the zone.
No!
But no! Reet! He just gets shot from the moment he tried to make it into the safety of zone. Tragic situation now for Ritual.
I mean, the problem here is that Dukes is also pushing in, and then Ritual caught off guard there instead of just waiting a little bit longer or positioning up somewhere else. But he saw Larson coming down the hill, with Oliver OG, and Reet had to call it out. Man, that's a tough one right there. Well, the hopes and aspirations we had for that second place comeback to arguably give Peterbot and Boyo a run for their money has now been X'd out.
But hey, Kanata and Cooper, the situation that we just saw them in, they looked like they were set up for an incredibly strong mid-game. And they're also, I think, within that distance, maybe overtaking second place. Cold, as accurate as ever, waterbending Mythic. No team gonna be allowed to stay positioned on the bridge. Cole just doing everything in his power to shut it down, and Yasir, of all people that could possibly get picked off, because this is the never-ending battle that Acorn and Cole dealt with all of day one grand finals, and now able to just administer the final blow to Yasir here in day 2, match 11. You know that Cole's probably pretty happy with that one, shutting down Yasir.
Good position for Bryson Bolts to be in. A lot of opportunities to tag up duos here, especially his freshly built builds from a team coming out the zone right now. You can see they're trying to do just that. Bach and Pars jump in there. That's a sign of desperation if I've ever seen one. Down body right there. Can he find it? Nope. Someone else does. It's Kanata and Cooper down low, who also put some additional pressures in on the duos there. Take a look at things from his perspective here. Game 11 getting more and more interesting now as Rhea and Richo have been taken out. Take a look here. Kanata had that side angle. Slipping tags right through the builds.
That's a really nice tag team effort as well, though. You've got Cooper breaking the walls. Kanata with that DMR. He knew his sole mission while Cooper took out the walls for him was just to land those shots, and he does exactly that. Love to see that synergy come together for the Dignitas duo of Kanata and Cooper, but they still got a little bit more teams to work through if they want to find themselves really being able to threaten that second place position. Their biggest upgrade potentially being the fact that Reet and Ritual were eliminated outside of the top 25. So now it is entirely down to just how many placement points they can secure. Batman Booga with the waterbending Mythic, just trying to connect any form of shots. He's falling well below that damage threshold. Things are only going to get worse for him. As a solo as is, he could be a nice little loot llama if a team's able to pick him off. Saw those 2 stacked Flowberry Fizzes that he had, as well as the Siphon Mats that he could provide. So Batman Booga's got to keep his wits about him, or also find himself getting eliminated pretty quickly here. Bryce Bolts. DMR is active, but Bryce still hasn't found an opportunity to connect. TK and Bacon, though, these poor guys are just getting suffocated right now by pressure from the lobby. Bryce needs these shots, though, or else he's going to have to burn through all of his shield.
Like that, we're seeing the activity. They're trying, but only time will tell if they're going to be able to be successful here. Trashy and Skittles, the opposite side here. They have a long way to make this rotate here. 22 duos in the game, 40 players remaining. Big moving zones are out. Who's got the most dominant spot on the map? Doesn't seem like anything's quite solidified yet. Outside of Decay having that high ground, but he's pretty lit up, all things considering. Peterbot and Boyo get to the front side of zone right now. Placement points are being given out. This is where they get to run away with it, but shots coming in from all angles here. Just gonna slow them down a little bit from getting too situated. Often they'll use up one of their Flowberry Fizzes, heal off and cap off the team there.
It's also a tough zone pull in the first place. Saw Cease and Jack rotating more towards that west side of the current zone. So with that next zone pool, they're gonna have to now push their way through the congestion that's starting to build in the backside of zone. Batman Booga just barely managing to squeeze into that 6 above damage threshold, but with only 12 builds remaining, getting lit up the moment that he tries to press forward.
You saw the edit come out. That move was quick to disengage out of that position there, but yeah, Pump is just a little smarter. NPen finding the angles there. There's only also many places you could go. Respect the efforts.
Siphon coin dropped though. That's a big pickup for the team that was able to claim it. Could potentially make breaking through these low ground layers all the easier if you're able to depend on that Hades coin, get that siphon working for yourself. But Golden Acorn from the low ground, Trashy Skittles, big pickups onto Sigma and Decay, who've also been a relatively impressive duo all weekend. But Trashy and Skittles, they're trying to find their monumental game. Like we already called out, they've maintained top 25 throughout the entirety of this weekend so far, but they're gonna need more than just top 25. They're gonna need top 5, if not a win, to really try and pose a threat to the top 3 in the leaderboard.
Trashy and Skittles coming out the edge of the storm here, looking up for high ground. This could give everyone else the opportunity they're looking for, and that everyone else I'm talking about is Peterbot and Boyo. They were right there, second height, waiting to pounce, and you can see it works out as Peterbot secures a loop, but someone lands on top of him, and down goes Peterbot. Boyo now left to fend for high ground by himself. There's a lot of solos here. No one's looking up to challenge Boyo just yet, and the longer this game goes on, the more they get to break away with the points threshold to close out this grand finals games here. But Bryson Bolt still in the run right now. This is a good medkit play here to try to squeeze out, play some points here. They are neck and neck tied with Acorn and Cold essentially as far as points are concerned. And Boyo from high ground gives it up to jump down and go for what was likely Peterbot's loot here, or someone else's, but he recognized there was heals and something to play for.
Well, we saw Poyo on the high ground. He only had like 6 or so builds left over. It's probably a big part of the reason why we saw Peterbot, who had split apart from the high ground, to drop for low, try and grab that refresh. Chubbs and Aviv just punishing him for it immediately. But Poyo, we saw the clutch in day 1. Can he have a repeat in day 2? Big tags onto Edgy from behind. Never saw it coming. The underworld dashes, just making Poyo so silent but easy to execute on these eliminations, on these knocks, potentially. Poyo, though, maybe I spoke a little bit too soon here. He gets snuffed out of the lobby entirely, doesn't get a chance to bring this one back.
Look who's in the top 5. Make it Blake and Macwood, another top 5. You know, if they could just get off the drop, they have been one of the most impressive duos we've seen this weekend. Meanwhile, Oliver OG Larson, the upsetters, the team that effectively took down Reet and Ritual, making the best out of this game with a 3rd place performance so far and still fighting for more now. Aviv and Chubbs, though, have the high ground here, looking for 2 angles. They're the healthiest in the lobby right now. This should be their game to win, Taco.
They already put themselves in a great position. Aviv gonna drop momentarily off that last elimination. Onto Braids, finds another one immediately. The Mythic Gatekeeper just popping off here big time. And Aviv and Chubbs, they find their victory royale, and it couldn't have come at a better time because we only have 1 game left now, MDF, for so many of these players that are looking to try and catapult themselves into that top 3 of the leaderboard. This is where it can really begin.
A ride to the global championship is really being fought for right now. If any of those teams inside of the top 10 right now, we're seeing all types of opportunities develop here, especially even for the likes of Aviv and Chubbs, who had the high ground. Look at how they ran away with things here, picking up elimination after elimination. In the end, sweep up all of the ones that were available, which is really reflecting nicely on the leaderboards there for them. Look at the standings. Their points just jump up big time for them. And all of a sudden now they have a fighting chance for global championships. And more importantly, just money, right? Prizing is, of course, available.